Welcome back to the Spoonie and Caregiver Life podcast with me, your host, Jordan Banderas. And before we get started, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes of the podcast. And let's go ahead and get into today's episode, shall we? Now, on today's episode, I want to talk about this, which is something that I had to do. And if you're a spoonie, a caregiver, probably you're having to do this right now, or you already had to do it, or you're going through it. Which is in my situation is that I had to give up a lot of things, including my old self, in order to get back to my wife so she could get back on her feet. This is something that I feel because of some feedback that I have received and conversations that I had with other people, that it's overlooked. Like nobody really pays attention to it. And in my situation, like I said, I had to give up a lot of things, which were relationships, lifestyle, old beliefs in some cases. And what I had to do is pretty much understand that when my wife became sick, I had to pay more attention to her, literally be there for her, which meant that for certain people that I will hang out with or do things with, I had to say no now. I had to say, like, you know what, I can't pay more attention to you than my wife because my wife is sick now. So I had to literally, sometimes it feels like I had to let them go. I had to give up those relationships, which were good and some of them were bad, but at the same time I had to do it for an important reason. I had to give up the lifestyle that we had before, because once my wife, and I have talked about this, once my wife got sick, we went from two incomes to one, which meant that instead of going every weekend like we used to and spend money and go out to eat to this all these places, we could only do it, let's say, like once a month or once every 2-3 months. So that was hard because we used to go out a lot and I got used to it. That was the new lifestyle that I had. So I had to give that up. I had to give up the old beliefs that I had, where I thought, and I have talked about this multiple times, and I will never get tired of saying it, but I thought that depression will go away. Like her depression will go away, her illnesses will go away. So I believed that, but then obviously that didn't happen. So I had to change those beliefs and create new beliefs of, okay, my wife is sick now, so it looks like this is not going away, so I have to do something. And also the one something that I had to give up was my old self, the self that was all closed off, the self that the me that was all like, it's all me, it's me first before my wife or before anybody, like me first. Like in this situation, I'm still taking care of myself, but obviously I put my wife sometimes first before me because she needs more help than me. So those are some of the things that I had to give up in order for me to, like I said, give back to my wife so she can get back on her feet. Now, this is important to understand, that as a caregiver, you will have to give up things. It could be your lifestyle, it could be sometimes, and this also happened to us, I almost forgot. We had to give up the place where we were living because we couldn't afford it anymore. Like there's so many things that you're gonna have to give up. And one of the things that's gonna help you, at least it helped me when it came to my situation, is communication. If you don't communicate, then it's not gonna work out, because you're gonna feel like you're giving up so much. And when your spoonie is not getting any better, you get frustrated. Believe me, it happened to me. I was getting frustrated, and I talked to my wife about this, where when I was getting frustrated because I didn't understand what was going on exactly, that's when I realized that I had to change my beliefs that she was going to get better and everything was going to go back to normal, because obviously it wasn't, and it hasn't, which I'm okay with now. But if you get all frustrated and you just keep looking back, uh, um, then you're gonna get mad, or you can even get depressed, because once you become a caregiver and you understand what you have to give up, you need to you will understand at one point, and this took me a long time to understand, to focus on what's ahead of you, and not instead of focusing on what's on the rear view mirror. That's one of the things that needs to happen. And I'm only saying this because that's how I see it from my perspective. That's how I understand it from my point of view, and that's what helped me. And once I understand that I need to stop looking back at what we had and not what we're going through right now, then I was able to help my wife better. Like, now I'm able to find doctors for her that can actually help her. Like, when I go to the doctors, I'm more engaging with the doctors because I've been doing the research. So I have become literally her caregiver, and I'm gonna take care of her. So I had to do all those. I have to give up all those things so I can become the best husband and the best caregiver that I could. And this obviously is going to help you in your relationship with your spoonie, because then you're going to be able to understand what the spoonie is going through, because you're going to look ahead of you instead of what has already passed, what's in the past. And if you're a different kind of caregiver, like a doctor, or a nurse, or somebody that works at a hospital with everything that's going on, obviously you're giving up more things like time with family, time with your kids. You're missing a lot, and because of that, I think you guys deserve more understanding, because you're giving up so much because of what you believe is right, which in this case is taking care of the people that are sick. So that's pretty much how I see it. Like, you guys deserve a lot of respect for going to the hospitals and fighting what's going on, and thank you for what you guys are doing. But like I said, this is for any caregiver. No matter what you're going through, you have to understand what you're gonna give up, because at one point you're gonna have to give up something, or you will have to give up something. No matter what it is, no matter how big or small it is, how difficult it might be, you're gonna have to give it up. It might not You might not see it as something that it might be good for you, but it might be good for your spoonie. It might help you, or I mean, by giving that up, it might give you more time with your spoonie. It might give you uh, that time that you need, so you can see the pain that they're going through, so you can go to the doctors with them and see exactly, or understand a little bit more about the conditions. It might give you more time for you to do your own research in regards to the conditions, because like what happened to me, once I started doing that and I was able to go to the doctors, I started questioning the doctors. I started questioning them, and asking to myself, I'm like, is this right? Like, the treatment and everything. So I started doing my own research, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if I hadn't given up certain things that were taking the time away from my wife. So this is very, very important to understand. And that's why I wanted to talk about this. So if you have something to give up, talk to your spoonie about it, and say like, I feel like I need to give this up, but I can't do it because of whatever reason, and talk about it. Maybe you guys can work things out where you can still do certain things, because I still do certain things that I was still doing before, like, like working out, going to the gym. Well, not right now, but like still hanging out with some friends, doing things like that. I don't mean it. What I'm trying to say is like, you don't have to give up everything and just focus 100% on your spooning. You can still do certain things, but you're gonna have to talk to them about it, because if you're out or doing something that you really, really don't want to give up, and your spoon is having an emergency, at one point you're gonna have to understand, like, you might have to put that on pause. And that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your feedback. I really, really, really love it. Thank you for the new supporters, the new listeners. And don't forget to share, like, subscribe, so we can grow even more, and more people can find the podcast. And don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And if you want to share your story anonymously, you can send it to me at the Spoonie and Caregiver life@gmail.com, or you can just post it on the community on Facebook. And I'll leave you like always. Always take care of yourself and have a great day.